Welcome back to the Ghost Bunny Podcast. I'm your host, Bridget Marquardt, with a brand new episode for you guys. My guest today is Christian Cagigal. Christian Cagigal is a professional tour guide, a Bay Area native, a lecturer of haunted history, and one of the original creators of the San Francisco Ghost Hunt. He's performed across the globe as a magician and actor and is a featured performer at the world-famous Magic Castle in Hollywood, Speakeasy Magic in New York City, and consulted for plays on Broadway and off-Broadway. Christian has won awards and accolades for his dark, spooky theatrical shows that have played in Chicago, New York, New Orleans, Montreal, and the UK. Christian is also the co-producer of Odd Salon NYC and splits his time between California and New York. He's proud to be the owner-operator of the San Francisco Ghost Hunt, and I'm so excited to chat with him today. Christian, thank you so much for doing the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we started talking before we were recording, you guys, and I said, wait, we have to save this for the show because you're in the San Francisco area near Daly City, and I was saying my brother used to live there too, and he was a funeral director at one of the big funeral homes there, which you recognize, and also there's like a giant cemetery there, and you said there's more than one, but then we were talking about Colma, which is just outside the city, and tell us about it.
Yeah, Colma. So if you imagine San Francisco as a postage stamp, and then below it are all these little, there's a whole other county with other towns and cities. I live in Daly City. Next door is Colma, which is minutes away, seconds away by car, really. And Colma is an acropolis, which is, I don't know, it's got like a dozen cemeteries there, at least, including a pet cemetery.
Oh.
It's where San Francisco buries all of its dead because in the late 1800s, San Francisco wanted to have more real estate, so they wanted to get rid of all the cemeteries, which they eventually did. For the most part, that's not entirely true. And so everybody, all the bodies got exhumed, not all, but
not all of them,
exhumed and sent to Colma, and then that just continued. So Colma sort of became like cemeteries, car dealerships, and malls, and
the staples.
Exactly. And, most of my family that's ever been in California is buried in Colma. There are 1,000 dead residents for every one living resident of Colma, for a grand total of 1.5 million dead residents in Colma.
Wow.
And so what's funny is that I never thought my life was going to go in like the spooky direction. I was very much musicals and comedy and magic. But kind of just artistic choices in life kind of took me in the spooky range. And now I have also just a bunches of like burner goth, metal, punk head, weirdo friends who like to do birthdays at cemeteries.
Mm-hmm.
And for them, it's just part of the romance of being like the goth, right?
Right.
And for me, it's like, you might as well have asked me to like get dragged along to Macy's and watch you try on clothing in the dressing room like mom would do, right? It's like I was dragged to the cemetery. And so it's kind of like, this is boring. It's like old people do. Old people go to the cemetery. So I don't have the same like relationship as many like my goth friends have about the dead and death, because it was literally next door, and I have just about my whole family there, and probably I'll be buried there one day too. So that's the region I live in, and a little bit about me and
there's some beautiful cemeteries though. Like I know my brother took me there, and there's like a mausoleum that's really haunted there on the property.
I don't know. I only ever go to Holy Cross. That's where my family's at. So I don't know what else is going on I've never been to the other cemeteries. Because again, it's like mom dragging you to the mall. It's like,
right. Yeah. Well, it's probably a lot like that for my brother too, since he works there and he works at all the cemeteries and stuff. And he's like, oh, you want to go to the cemetery? All right, let me take you to work with me.
Right.
Bring your sister to work with you, Day. Because she's interested in spooky and the dead. But you brought up the magic and everything, and this might be an awkward question to start with, and I haven't quite formulated it in my own head yet, but every time I talk to somebody, and there's a lot of them who are intertwined with magic and the paranormal, I feel like there is a correlation there somewhere. And I haven't quite figured it out yet, but there's like a similar interest or like a connection. I just feel like there's something going on there that overlaps.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of us, we get into magic because we love the performance of mystery. right? And there's others who love the performance of trickery and cons. I kind of came at it from both angles. For me, my murder shows in comfy clothes was learning about con men, right? And as a kid, but also I loved Arthur C. Watching reruns of Arthur C. Clarke's World of Strange Powers or Strange World or that kind of thing, or watching That's Incredible when it'd be like, here's this haunted place, or here's a person who can cry drops of gold, or that kind of thing. I loved all that. So I kind of came at it from both angles. And so it's not unusual to find, I'll be honest, it feels more typical to find the magician who is a little bit into the paranormal only to be the debunker. Because and I understand it. They feel it's their place to educate the public about, like, look, we can be fooled. We can fool ourselves. Let's be careful about what we put our trust and our faith in, right? Penn and Teller are really big about that, right? And they had a big influence on us Gen X magicians. But there's also, I'm part of a contingent who call themselves bizarre magicians, who, like back in the 60s, there was a couple magicians, one in the UK, one in the US, who were kind of like, God, does everything have to be like women in glitter and sequins and like smiling as you cut them in half? And so independently, they were both like, can we just put a good shot of the Gothic and the weird back into magic? Because that's its roots, right? And so they did, and it was just this little underground magic movement that has never really like taken huge hold. But there's a bunch of us who just like we focus on the spooky or storytelling or the idea of haunted items or seances. And sometimes it's just a matter of like, how can we take a traditional magic trick and just frame it differently, where suddenly 12 people around a table and candles and you claim to maybe contact a ghost and you do the same magic trick. Suddenly that one magic trick becomes otherworldly because we're just in a different headspace psychologically for it. And again, because I know how to do that, and because I've made my artistic career that, I also know how it's easy for someone to fool themselves or to manipulate someone's beliefs into believing something that is not actually happening. And so I don't know, I think for magicians, it's, and mind you, I'm kind of speaking very extemporaneous right now. For magicians, I think it's a combination of, a lot of them are believers. They don't believe what they're doing is real, but they believe in the paranormal. A lot of them just love the spooky and horror and the paranormal as an aesthetic, right? As just entertainment and as an artistic choice. And they like to use the tools of the magician to create those experiences. And then some of them are just, they stay away from it entirely. They think there's ethical problems with even pretending to perform the spooky. And I don't blame them. And so they're very much the staunch. They're very much in that kind of like that James Randi, Penn and Teller staunch, angry skeptic, angry atheist, right? And I'm even though I do identify actually as an atheist, I like to say first I'm an agnostic for the true sake of atheism, because I don't actually know.
Yeah.
Which the true scientist goes, well, I don't actually know, but let's dig deeper, right? And then also I like to say I really do believe that no one's an atheist in a foxhole. Right? It's like gun to the head, like what, we all kind of go, oh my God, please no, right?
Yeah.
So even though I'm an atheist and I don't believe in these things, and I do try and dissuade people from or educate people on things that may not be real and how they can be manipulated, I do love creating in a black box theater, hopefully one day bigger theaters, the safe magical space to experience those feelings of paranormal.
Yes.
And the otherworldly and the mysterious, without coming from a guy who's not trying to take your paycheck or ask you to come back for a tithing next week, right?
Right.
Because as you can tell, I have my opinions about those things. So that's the long answer there.
No, I like it because I've thought a lot about it, and because I've interviewed several different people who have roots in magic or have an interest in magic or perform magic in some way or whatever, and are also into the paranormal. And I just always felt like there's a correlation here. There's something here that kind of like combines these two things often. And I I'm curious, like, what it is for different people, what that connection is. But you brought up the Magic Castle, and I love the Magic Castle. I've gone there many times, and I've done the Houdini seance, which made me think of that when you were talking about the seances and being able to easily manipulate people. And because we did that, and I know this is all fake, and I know we're not really contacting anyone, but we left there and they're like, it's like there was somebody in our group that was like, yeah, but what about the book that fell off the shelf? Like, who did that? And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, it was all like part of the show, though.
Right, right.
But you're right about being easily manipulated in things. Like, if you can make one thing happen and they don't realize that's part of the show,
Yeah.
suddenly they're believers.
Our own belief system can be easily manipulated against us.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect belief systems and religions. I don't adhere to any of them. I kind of love belief, but I don't believe in any of those things.
Yeah.
Large part because I know how someone can easily say Jesus, and suddenly I can get away with murder almost literally, and I can be manipulated. So magicians, I think, as a culture, if you took the entire world of magicians and made them like one brain, there's a love-hate relationship with mysterious and the paranormal.
Yes. Okay, so I got introduced to you through Lady I, or Elise. She was on the show. You guys might remember. She has a book out called oh my gosh, why am I blanking on her book name now?
Right here. Wait, it's right. Oh,
I think I know what it was. When we spoke to the dead, right? Yes, when we spoke to the dead. And it's about spiritualism giving women their voice. Thank you for that. And she was like, oh, you have to meet my friend. Like, he does the ghost. She wants to come and do like a whole thing here in, especially in Northern California. She's coming actually to Southern California this weekend, but she wants to do a whole thing in Northern California. She's like, the Winchester Mystery House. Oh, and you have to meet my friend who does the San Francisco ghost tours. He'd be perfect for your podcast. And I really want to go and do that. I want to make both of those things happen. So I'm going to tell a little bit about the description of your tour. It says, his tour, step into the shadows of the city's most haunted landmarks as Christian weaves a web of mystery, magic, and the macabre stories from San Francisco's dark past. From notorious spirits to ghostly apparitions, each stop on the tour is a portal to another world where the paranormal comes to life before your very eyes. Ooh! Before,
so exciting.
I know. It sounds amazing.
PR just makes you sound so exciting.
Okay, two things. Number one, have you done the Winchester House?
Oh, yeah.
Growing up there probably a million times, right? Same.
Not a million. I mean, like I think like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, that's it. Okay. So for
San
me,
Jose is kind of like a far cry from where I'm at. San Jose doesn't travel up to Daly City, and Daly City doesn't travel down to San Jose.
it's not that far.
I
But
know. You might as well say, are we taking the train to Boston? And be like, why? Why would I do that?
okay, so I grew up in Northern California as well. But Lodi, if you know where Lodi is. And
That's far for everything because
what?
so you had to travel far for everything because it's Lodi.
Yes. And I did a lot of stuff in the San Francisco area. But growing up, my aunt would take us to the Winchester House, or school trips, we would go to the Winchester House, or different things like that. So, and then being in the paranormal now, I've been to the Winchester House many times and have collaborated with them on different things. So I love it there. But what are your thoughts on the Winchester House?
Oh, I mean, I think the place is great. How can I be polite? So when people ask me, hey, do you ever go take other ghost tours in other places? My answer is typically no, because I feel like I'm just going to somebody else's job.
Yes.
And quite often it feels like I'm watching someone else's job. And it's not nearly as fun or as entertaining or as engaging as I wished it would be, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very biased because even though it's just me in a top hat on the street, it's a show, and it's an engaging show. I try and make an engaging show. So as far as kind of the grind show that is the Winchester Mystery House, it's kind of like, it's fun, and I hope you get a great tour guide that day.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if it's the house is incredible, the architecture, the the weirdness of it all.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing to see. Like, everyone should see it if you are in the area. But it is hit or miss, like what on your tour guide. Like, if you have a really great, engaging tour guide who gives you a really good story and tells you all the facts in a fun way and everything, that makes it definitely 100% more enjoyable. There's a lot of fun facts about the house too. So even if you're not into the paranormal or anything like that, that just like there's like, I forget what they are off the top of my head, but like 13 panes in every window and 13 spiders and 13 fireplaces and 13 bathrooms and like just like a weird fun facts.
Yeah.
Um
And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've kind of, because I like to be the skeptic, I kind of go, I think I'm also now in the boat of like someone who says, well, this might have happened for mentally ill, spooky reasons. You're not that kind of level of rich without being a little off in the head, because just being that rich for some reason makes you like do eccentric things, especially in the 1800s. But I also like the angle on Sarah Winchester on maybe being a bit of a architectural experimenter and genius,
mhm.
because there's so many great ideas in the Winchester building, and that and she could not construct them themselves, but she could tell somebody else, go make this, to go see what it would look like. So
Mm.
like little things like the little curved metal plates in the corners of the stairs, so you can scoop out the dust easily, right? I'm like, what a great idea. And
Yes.
the green room, and you know what I'm talking about. There's the
Yes.
green room on the second floor, that has like essentially a false wall, a false floor.
Mhm.
So the first floor is like wooden slats. The second floor is metal, and all the plants go up there. They shower all the plants. All the water then filters down through the slats, the wood slats of the floor, into the metal tray, so to speak, underneath it. Somebody pulls a lever, and then that lower floor of metal tilts downward and drains all the water out, that I'm assuming then helps to water the rest of the garden. I'm like, this is genius. It's like,
Yes.
so was she crazy? Was she being told by ghosts what to do? Or was she just going, I have a crazy idea and I'm rich enough to make somebody build it for me?
Yeah. Well, I think the Sarah Winchester story has sort of changed over the years. Like when I was a kid, it was very much like she's getting these like messages. She's doing seances every night at midnight and she's getting these messages from the dead to like and keep building or else they're going to come and get her for like Winchester rifle and everything. But I feel like now it's changed a little bit and it's not so much about that. I think she really was into spiritualism, but they talk a lot more about like a lot of the philanthropy she did. She had like they also made her sound like a recluse when I was younger, and she really
Right.
wasn't that much of a recluse. She had a houseboat, and she would go out and do things. And I really think she just had a serious interest. I do think spiritualism played a part in her life, but I think that the house and building it was experimentation. She liked architecture. She was, and like you said, she had the money to try new things.
Right. And like everybody was into, I mean, Alexander Graham Bell was into spiritualism. I mean, everybody was into
Yes.
spiritualism. That was just a thing, because that was like the next frontier. Like, I mean, all these little scientific advancements were happening back then, like the light bulb, right? And so just very much the US was dreaming about the future. And so the idea that maybe you can contact the other side, why not experiment with that? Why not see if there's a frontier there to cross? Um, and I have my thoughts on that. But
Well, wasn't Alexander Graham Bell, he was trying to do a phone to the dead. Do
yeah,
you know about that?
yeah,
And I heard that somebody is trying to like look at those again, like all his notes and everything and seeing if they can work on it more
right.
in
I
current
mean,
day.
if there is an other side to get to, or another dimension, as you know, um, I'm forgetting, not where does string theory come out of? I'm suddenly forgetting my science knowledge. But there's the ideas of string theory and multiple dimensions that are all
Mhm.
happening right here. They're just
Yeah.
slightly different. So if there's a way to, is there a way to stretch open, pierce through the veil of this dimension into the next? I mean, does Alexander Graham Bell have the lock on that information? I feel he probably doesn't, because he wouldn't have known that
Yeah.
information yet. We didn't
Right.
know string theory yet. But maybe with what we know now, if it is possible, maybe there is a way to communicate with another dimension. Again, I'm on the camp that kind of goes, maybe not.
But it's possible.
It would be awesome if it were true.
Yeah.
I always want it to be true, even though I'm always kind of the skeptic going, maybe not yet. But I really hope it works.
I know too that there's been like some interesting things happening with quantum physics and things like that now too. So you never know. You never know. Okay, so tell me about your tour, because that's the other thing we want to do when she's in town is we want to go and do your tour. And I was trying to think, I've spent a lot of time in San Francisco, and I'm like, what do I know that is haunted there, like truly haunted? And the first place that comes to mind is Alcatraz. I know that's not on your tour. That's a whole separate tour.
Yeah, it's really not on the tour. I mean, there are a chunk of places that are been reported to be haunted throughout the city, and then everybody has their old Victorian that they feel has a spirit still inside of it, right? Although those are always harder to corroborate, because it's kind of like, well, what is it? It's hard to know. So especially if you're doing a walking tour, at least I prefer my haunted walking tours to be anchored a little more in history and an actual individual, not just the amorphous. There's a child in this basement and she does this. I'm kind of like, cool. I just kind of want more, and I always feel those are the more dubious tours, right? And so thankfully our tour is, and I say ours because I helped my friend create it. My friend Jim Fastbinder created back in 1998, and he ran it. And I did research for him and that kind of thing, kind of played director. And then he ran it very successfully for 17 years, retires at age 70 in 10 years ago now, actually, almost 10 years ago exactly, actually.
Wow.
And then I bought it from him and I reopened it under me in May of 2016. But so that's why I still kind of say it's our tour, even though he's retired in Kauai now.
Yeah.
But so our tour is very much based on historical people, or if there's like one and a half decent legends in it, but they're still anchored. They are legends that have been around for a long time, and I don't mind doing a ghost tour about legends if they've been around for a while, because that becomes part of the culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's lots of history in this ghost tour, lots of contextual history to give you an idea of what the neighborhood was like. That the tour takes place in kind of what is now called Lower Pacific Heights, Japantown. But everybody thinks the whole city was flattened in the 1906 earthquake, which is not true. The west side of the city was fine for the most part, and so all these are the mansions that were still standing after the 1906 earthquake. So it's fun to be able to take you into that neighborhood, give you an idea of what this neighborhood was like, and then give you a context for this woman this civil rights hero who was maligned and maybe a complicated figure over here, and then this feminist writer who lived up here, and this lady in the white dress that haunts the street over there.
There's always a lady in the white dress.
There's always a lady in a white dress. Always, and our lady in a white dress has been around for a long time. It's very much like a legend of California Street of San Francisco. But yeah, so it's I tell people I tell people at the top, I frame it as a historical walking tour of Pacific Heights and Japantown. You hear about real historic names of San Francisco, how they lived, how they died, and the reports of the hauntings after that. I say, I don't make it up. I just report it. You decided what to do with the information.
Okay.
And I've collected stories from people. Like Jim before me collected stories from people who lived in those places, or people who frequent those street corners where they feel like they've experienced stuff. And then I've added to those stories with my own experience. Can't say my own experiences, with the experiences that people have had on my tour.
Well, that was going to be my next question for you. Have people on your tour had experiences or captured any kind of evidence?
Captured evidence, nothing done enough to my liking. Okay. What I recommend is if you want to try and catch something, is I tell people, look, other ghost tours have the dowsing rods and the ghost boxes, which again, I'm in the camp that says, well, those can be dubious. But I say, you have something better. You have your smartphone. It takes audio, video, and photography, right? Mm-hmm. High definition audio, video, photography. So then I recommend, if you want to take a picture of something, frame it perfectly, don't move, and then hit the button 3 times in a row. And I say, if there's a spot of light in all 3 photographs, it is just the street light. But if there's a light in one photograph and you didn't move, that could mean something. And then I say, if you didn't move, but the spot of light moves in all 3 photographs, that could be something too, right? And most of the time when people come to me and they show me their things, I'm like, I kind of have to say, oh, that's a lens flare from that lamp right there, because I can just see it, right? And sometimes I have to say, oh, it's that light over there. Maybe 3 times in the past 10 years of me running the tour, someone has shown me something and I've said, I don't know what that is. I don't have an answer for you. You're right. There is something in that window that wasn't there before, and I don't have an answer for you. So, when I don't have an answer, I'll say it,
Yeah.
But, like there's one location of this one woman where she planted these, and I'm being vague so that way you have to come on my tour.
Yes.
But where she planted these 6 eucalyptus trees. And the story has always been that people feel like they get, they're from Australia, so they call them gum trees, and the acorns are called gum nuts. And people quite often feel like they get pelted with the gum nuts, but not on top from their head, from behind on their back. So I've literally had people in the neighborhood tell me, oh yeah, I always have to cross by these trees to get to that corner store. And sometimes they just feel like something pelted them on the back. Right.
Yeah.
I had one of my first weeks taking over the tour in May of 2016. 12-year-old girl comes running up to me at the end of the tour. And she's like, when you were talking about Mary, and she says she felt something like pelt her in the back. One time I had a kid come up to me at the end and say, okay, because she brought a blanket because it's cold, because it's always damp and cold in San Francisco. And she was walking, and she thought her sister like yanked the blanket off of her from behind just to mess with her.
Uh-huh.
And when she turned around, her sister was like 20 feet away and there's nobody near her. Right. I've had neighbors tell me that dogs will bark at the corner for no reason. Right. Sometimes I've been told that the spirit of this woman is still around as a raven or a crow. Now, mind you, if you haven't been in the Bay Area for a long time, we have lots more ravens and crows. Like literally, climate change has happened. We have fewer seagulls and more ravens and crows. That is they're sometimes they feel like they're pigeons. Like it's just here in Daly City, I'll wake up in the morning and there's like 5 crows on my lawn.
A murder.
Yeah, exactly. But back in the 90s when we started, there weren't that many. They just kind of passed through, they kind of migrated through a lot, or kind of stayed localized to the Presidio. And so there are stories of like people having weird altercations with ravens and crows at that street corner with this woman's eucalyptus trees, right? What else? The rest of the time, because we're mostly outside these homes, we do end in one haunted hotel. But most of the time we're outside these homes. So we kind of just have to hope something flickers in the window at us, right?
Right.
But we do, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to ask you about that hotel that you guys end at, the Hotel Majestic. Can you tell me about that?
Mm-hmm. So that was built in the the original version was built in the 1870s across the street. It was basically a mansion. And then the new version was built in 1902 because the family wanted a new mansion, and they kind of also ran it as a hotel, kind of like doing a little double duty there, make some money. And the son of the family eventually gets into politics, becomes a darling of the political scene. And it said that he lived up on the 4th floor, and it said that he had 2 daughters. One of them was named Lisa, and that Lisa lived in room 407. And here's where I have to then be honest with my group and say, I've tried to dig, and I have to be honest with you all. I don't know anything about Lisa. I can't find anything about Lisa. I think she was real. The staff at the hotel like to say that she's in one of the portraits, and I literally had a painting expert say that's a prostitute from 1870, and that this painting was cut out from a different painting, right? Like just saying like that's not that would not be Lisa, right?
Yeah.
So, but don't tell the hotel staff I said that.
Okay.
So there's very little about Lisa that I can find, or I'm sorry, let me say that again. There's nothing about Elisa that I can find. Maybe I'm just not the crack researcher that I think I am. But it is said that Lisa haunts the hotel, the fourth floor, and 407. And they've been saying it for decades. Previous managers have said it, previous owners have said it, previous staff have said it. And so everything from chandeliers in the dining room that kind of just swing a little bit.
Mm.
The thing is, you can't hop on the floors above to make them swing, right? The old night auditor would joke and call it his weekly date with Lisa. So he would show up dressed late at night because he's going to be with one of the only people around in the hotel on staff, and he wants to be and he wanted to be presentable for Lisa. He's in the basement crunching numbers for the hotel, and he says, "I can always hear tic tac of heels on the lobby floor above me when there's nobody there." Right? It's 2 a.m. and everyone's asleep. Right? There's a mirror, big mirror along one of the walls of the restaurant space, and I've been told by staff that was put there by a previous owner to cover up a creepy mural of Lisa. Now, there's no way for me to find out. The current owners are going to tear it down for me, right? But the thing called dining in the dark? Do you know about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. That for your listeners, in case you don't know, dining in the dark, you get served dinner in like essentially the pitch black dark with blindfolds, and it's like a sensory thing, right?
I'm scared of it.
Right?
I'm not scared of ghosts, but I'm scared to do that.
What are you putting in my face?
Yes, I'm a particular eater, so I'm going to be like, wait, what is this? I'm not.
Right. And so and the story is one of the staff of the event one day was like, "There's a light emanating from the mirror. It wasn't reflecting from any place because there was nothing else in the room to make a light from because it's dining in the dark, right?" So he just said, "There's just a light emanating from the mirror." One of the old managers told me a story of having a wine vendor come there for a meeting, and she was an amateur ghost hunter, so she was like, "Oh, this place is haunted. I could tell this place is haunted." He's like, "Well, yeah, we do have stories," and he tells her the history. He lets her into the room, and it's not a cold building. It's an old building, but not a cold building. It's not a drafty Victorian at all. It can be kind of muggy actually there. And so her story was she was standing in the middle of the room, and it's a big suite too. And she's like, "Oh, you have to come feel this." And the manager was like, "No, I'm good. I'm going to stay over here by the door." And she's like, No, dude, you really have to come here." He's like, "Oh my God." He gets across the room. He stands right next to her and goes, "Oh my God, it's a cold spot." And as he says cold spot, the front door to the room suddenly goes slam. They both startle. He runs. He swings the door open and nobody was there. And he says to me, "Christian, I know every way in and out of this hotel. I know every sound this building makes. No one was in the hall. No one's on the stairs. No one's on the elevator. No one was there." Right? And I can go on and on. I'll save some of this for when you come on the tour. But so I've gotten to collect cool stories like that, right? But normally things don't happen to me while I'm on the tour because I'm too busy flapping my gums talking, right?
Yeah.
Busy working. People have to say to me, "Christian, when you were talking about this happened over here. The lights flickered when you said that." It was as if the lights were acknowledging what you were just saying, or this happened, that happened.
Yeah.
So that's normally what goes on for me on the tour. And people always ask me, "Oh, do you ever had anything happen in your regular life?" I'm like, "No, I'm not the guy who experiences stuff in his regular life."
Okay, well, that was going to be one of my questions because I was curious where your interest comes from this. Because a lot of people, their interest in spooky or dark or paranormal and all that kind of stuff comes from like a childhood experience or something, but not for you?
No, I mean, like I said, I was really I think I like the idea of exploring the paranormal. Like I like the idea of like exploring it like a scientist.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters made me want to be a paranormal investigator when I was a kid, right?
Okay.
I just sort of felt like after, and all I could do was watch, unsolved mysteries on TV or whatever, right? But I felt like I watched enough of those shows going, "Oh, it's kind of always the same thing, and I'm not really buying this anymore," right? And even now those ghost hunting shows, I'm sorry, they're kind of all still the same thing, just with higher def but worser quality proof.
Yes, but wouldn't you agree that like science is very repetitive? In order to like figure something out, there has to be repetition, and you have to do the same experiments over and over in different locations with different things to try and get our answers. So I feel like I get where people think it's repetitive and might not be into paranormal investigating because it might feel boring or repetitive or and it's very slow. Got to have a lot of patience. But if you are looking at it from a scientific perspective, that's what science is. It's not always like coming up with the answer immediately.
No, yeah. I mean, for me, it was always like, we've repeated this experiment many times, and so far we haven't found anything.
Yes.
And
well,
so
we do find stuff like the door slamming. Like, that's exciting when stuff like that happens. Right. Like the adrenaline is going and you want it to happen again. If you're truly into this stuff, you want it to happen again. And like the next time you go out, you're like seeking something like that to happen.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, as a kid, I was not actually into, I liked things that felt haunting, but I was never into horror. Right.
Okay.
Like I, with my childhood, I was kind of like, I don't need to be scared some more. Right? I was like, give me Gene Kelly, give me Fred Astaire, give me Little Mermaid. Things all work out in the end. There's a happy song. There's only one evil person, and they get taken care of at the end. Right?
Yes.
So yeah. So for me, it was like and I'll be honest, I'm still not into horror, which still weird. They're like, you're not? I'm like, no, it scares me. Like I really want to see weapons or whatever, and I'm like, but that image of the children running like this, it freaks me out. I don't want to really go see it. I'm more spoopy than I am spooky. But I did always like the idea of being like, I love great abstract art or like performance art or like art house animation, right? From like Eastern Europe or something, where just, even though it's not horrific, and it's not deliberately haunting or spooky, there's just something enrapturing, mysterious. There's mysteries back there behind what you're watching that just captivates me, and I'm always drawn in. And like Guillermo del Toro's thing a couple years ago, the Cabinet of Curiosities, right?
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it, but my favorite episode was the last one, because it was not horrific. It was just this couple. She's passed away. There's not to give everything away, there's a ghost in that. There was just only one little moment of just this ghost emerges, right? And I just was totally wrapped in that one, which is just the feeling of being haunted, without necessarily the threat of existential violence upon your person. That always just grabbed me. And I've always done theater, I've always done magic. And as a younger man, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to like mix magic and theater together. And how can I also make it much more involved experience for the audience? So you're not just sitting there watching me cut a woman in half or something, but this feels meaningful to you, and you're a part of the experience. Your presence in the room makes this more electric. At least I hope. But I'm also trying to do this with no money, right? In a black box theater with no money, no budget, and suddenly I'm left with story. I'm left with environment. I'm left with props. And little by little, I began to realize, I'm going to start doing seance magic. I'm going to start doing like mentalism and seance magic. I can't afford to experiment with like curtains and trapdoors, but I can experiment with psychology and theater.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes down to seance magic, your presence is important because you're going to get involved, and it is about what you believe or don't believe. And so my shows all have some element of involving the audience somehow, and just the right weird props in the room, and suddenly, like, the world that you're in is just different. And like I said before, the same card trick done by a con man or done by a guy who's saying, no, see that skeleton? He told me what card you were thinking of, becomes a different thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even me just saying that out loud just already feels different,
spookier.
Right?
Yes.
And so I didn't realize, I didn't mean to go spooky. and I already had experiences with my friend Jim, helping him with the ghost tour. So it's not like I was foreign to any of that. But my desire to create magic in theater and create a stamp for myself led me, and not having enough money led me in the spooky direction.
Yeah.
And then I became known as the spooky magician in the Bay Area. And then I just kind of allowed myself to experiment more in that realm. So it's like, and then I took over the ghost tour, and which I wasn't expecting to do either in my life. And so suddenly it became like the Halloween guy. So I sort of fell into this. I had shavings of it in my life, little sprinkles of it throughout my life, but I thought I was going to be doing, more musicals in my life than in this. Yeah.
Well, back to the San Francisco stuff. Do you think, I know the area that you do your tour is an area that was not destroyed by the earthquake, but do you think the 1906 earthquake, which did destroy a lot of things, leads to some of the ghost stories in the city?
Surprisingly not.
Really? Because there were a lot of deaths, right? I don't have a number.
So much death.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised. Like you never hear about the death being associated with the earthquake. I've not found. There's other ghost tours and there's other neighborhoods that have fewer stories in them. But for some reason, and there's also the 1918 pandemic, right? Which took out more people than history has taught us, right? We kind of, which I think after coming out of this pandemic, we understand why you would just not want to think about it anymore, right?
Yeah.
So surprisingly, there isn't a lot. There's like a hint, but there's not a lot of like pandemic ghosts or earthquake ghosts.
Interesting.
It's always either just kind of the amorphous, like there's a child in this basement, or there's a guy who I've named Henry on the stairwell, that kind of a thing.
I think that is so interesting. Yeah. Because like you said, the earthquake, the pandemic, but not only that, like you talked about at the very beginning, the cemeteries being moved, but they did not remove all the bodies, because I know that there are bodies that have still been discovered even in recent day. Like people are like, oh, I was like in the basement or digging a new foundation or something. And what is this? Mm-hmm. And they have to like halt production and everything and get in there. So I'm really surprised. Like, and even when we started this, I was like, I don't know a lot of ghost stories in San Francisco, and I feel like it's very, very strange that there aren't way more.
Right.
It's a very old city, as far as like California goes, and
right. I mean, when you go to other cities that have ghost tours, or maybe the more popular ones, it's usually a really nefarious story. Let's be honest. It's always either super rich people or super nefarious people, or a combination of both. And then, and whether we believe it's because extreme emotion imprinted in time is what created those moments. So that's why it might be very rich or very nefarious, or both, right? Mm-hmm. It's never just somebody died and they just stuck around. But so I don't know if it's, and I'm coming at this from the skeptical angle, is like, there's just the earthquake is just so all encompassing that how do you anchor a story in there? It's like, yeah, everybody just suddenly were crushed, right? Mm-hmm. Lots of people suddenly crushed, which you would think would create more ghosts, because it's an unexpected death, right? Mm-hmm. But whereas say like Edinburgh, Scotland, or London, or New York, or New Orleans, they had just more decades, even centuries, to just have nefarious stories.
Yeah.
Right. Whenever somebody from the UK comes on the tour, I tell them, look, nothing is nearly as old or as scary as anything in the UK. Right.
Right.
We just haven't had the time to be that torturous to other people. We've done some terrible things to each other, but we haven't had like 500 years of it. Right. So yeah, even though the gold rush was a wild time, mm-hmm. crime and nefariousness totally happened mm-hmm. in the mid 1800s. But I think the ghosts that become part of the culture, that become part of the stories that we tell, that become ghost tours, they're always anchored in something, whether completely made up or based on real people. they're always anchored in something, and the culture has something to do with that.
Yeah.
I like to a certain degree, I do think the culture makes the ghosts sometimes, as opposed to the other way around. And I mean, there's one part which you'll learn about when you come on the tour, where I say, these stories were actually completely made up. However, haunting still happened, and then I tell them about all the stuff that happened, right? And I say, what you've been hearing for the past 10 minutes is a ghost tour guide trying to reconcile with the truth. Because what I said at the beginning was not true, yet these stories have totally happened. And I've heard them decades later. I would hear these stories from people. And I say, so it makes me ask these questions. Can you make a place haunted just by saying it is?
Mm-hmm.
Over and over and over again. And if ghosts are really just unfinished business, are they really our unfinished business with them?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder how much we are the ones who, much like that, the story of conjuring Philip. Like,
I was just going to say, Philip's
right,
ghost. Yes.
right. Like, how much do we make the ghosts? How much do we
Right.
bring them to life? Again, as a skeptic or a believer, I think that sentence still applies. How much do we bring them to life? And usually it's those stories of people who are unacknowledged in history, or people who were impacted by patriarchy, capitalism, racism, misogyny, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's our lady in the white dress was an 18-year-old girl who was about to be married off by her parents to some rich old guy, and then she runs away and never gets heard of again, right? It's like, and now she still haunts the street, right? That's anchored in a world where women don't get to have their own say, who women don't get to have their own voice.
Right.
Hey, Isla, get a little pro. And so we seem to like ghost stories. We anchor into ghost stories that mean something to our culture, and something that the culture is still wrestling with. That seems to be, and to my mind, the ones that have the most staying power, the ones that become legends and movies and ghost tours. Otherwise, just an amorphous something moved in a room and meh. Right?
Yeah. It's really interesting. You probably don't have to deal with this too much, but I was going to ask you. I feel like you don't have to deal with this as much because you root your tours in history, and then you're very honest about the ghost facts and that kind of thing, and they're kind of secondary. But I was curious how you handle non-believers, like anybody that comes on the tour that's dragged there by, say, their girlfriend or whatever, and they don't believe in this stuff. And
I mean, I don't do much with them. I mean, I can, yes, there's always somebody who's been dragged on a ghost tour, right? Who thinks it's all stupid.
yeah,
I think because, you've heard me express my trying to be very middle of the road about it all.
yes,
That they sense that, they feel that, and they begin to kind of go, okay, well, I'll relax a little bit.
yeah,
And then I'm also just entertaining, right? It's like you can feel my point of view, and you can feel me also just telling you an entertaining story. Like, this is a cool thing. Whether it's true or not is up to you to decide. This was cool. Let me tell you about it. And that kind of like really engages them. And then there's just a lot of history. And there's just a lot of good, solid history, and they really like that. And
mm-hmm.
so there's just enough for even the skeptics or the annoyed boyfriend or girlfriend who was dragged on a tour to like hang their own lantern on and go, okay, I can have a fun time with this guy, right?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter for me. It's like, you don't have to like ghosts. You don't have to believe in ghosts. Whenever somebody tells me, oh, he doesn't believe in ghosts, I say, but they believe in you.
It's true. Well, have you ever thought about doing one in New York since you spend so much time there?
Oh, there's enough there.
Yeah.
I don't need to try and fight that battle. And it's San Francisco is pretty temperate year round. It's a cool, 60 degrees most of the year, right?
Yeah. I feel like San Francisco, if you guys have not been there, it is always cold and gloomy. Yeah. It's rarely like a beautiful sunny day.
No, whenever a tourist says, I came here to see the Golden Gate Bridge and I couldn't see the Golden Gate Bridge, that's when I say, and then I say to them, that means you saw the Golden Gate Bridge. That is the most authentic way to see the Golden Gate Bridge, is covered in fog, unable to see it. That's how we all see it every day, right?
Yeah.
But but uh, but yeah, I I uh, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something exciting, but I've forgotten it.
Oh no.
You go on. I'll remember in a
Oh,
second.
have you ever been? Oh, I wanted to ask you another San Francisco thing. So there's a house. I forget the name of it. I think it's just called like the Queen Anne Mansion or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about? And people say it is definitely haunted. I think it has a Halloween party every year, or at least it used to. You can stay there. It's like an inn.
I mean, you've just mixed three locations, so I don't know which one you're talking about. Um, there is there's a place that used to be called the Mansions Hotel. That was a double mansion, property. That is the one I said was the one with the very dubious story attached.
Okay.
But has still had the hauntings. But that's been condos for 25 years now or so.
Okay, so not that one.
There's the Queen Anne Hotel.
Yes.
So the Queen Anne Hotel is one block over from the Majestic. The Queen Anne used to be on the tour. When Jim ran the tour, it was when we lost the Mansions Hotel back in again, I say we, but I wasn't running it back then. Like in 99 or 2000, the Mansions Hotel closed after like 25, 30 years. And so Jim was looking for a new hotel to have on the tour, and hopefully just a warm place to start the tour, because again, cold and damp all the time, right? And the Queen Anne was not too far from where the tour starts, from where the tour takes place. And they were like, oh my goodness, actually, we have stories. It'd be really great if you came to the hotel. He was like, it all just worked out perfectly. And then remained on the tour for the next 17-ish years, up until when Jim retired in 2015. They may have had a contentious relationship. So they were like, oh, cool, you're retiring, great, because we don't actually want the tour here anymore. And so we lost the hotel. But yeah, there's still, because of the tour, there's lots of old haunted lists of San Francisco that the Queen Anne is on because of our tour.
Okay.
And even though they've said they don't want the tour there anymore, people still book hotel rooms there because they find them on all these old lists of like haunted places. They go, oh, we want to go there. And then the Majestic, the old owner, the previous owner, had wanted the tour there, but Jim was like, I have a 3-hour tour and I already have a hotel. I can't make it a 3.5-hour tour. But a buddy of mine was doing events at the Majestic, and he said, hey, I can hook you up when I had taken over. And he did. And I've had that relationship with the Majestic for most of the past 10 years. So it might be the Queen Anne. They don't have a hotel. They don't have a hall.
They don't?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I've never, being that I walk by it every Halloween, I've never seen them have a.
They didn't used to, like maybe.
Not that I'm aware, at least not the past 10 years, because I've definitely walked by and there's just nothing going on in there.
That's so interesting, because I'm pretty sure that's the hotel I'm talking about. And my brother has done Halloween there a couple of times. And I swore he said that one of the reasons they stayed there, one, because they thought it was haunted. And two, because there was a Halloween party down like in the ballroom or something. But now, I don't know. I'm going to have to double check with him.
Yeah.
But it sounded like a cool spot.
Oh, the Queen Anne is gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're trying to downplay the haunted part now. So
many places try and do that.
Yeah.
Like the Stanley has gone through a thing like that too. It's like, come on, you're the Stanley.
Right. Now they're very much playing up. Now they very much keep the haunted thing going.
They are playing into it again, but in a slightly different way, in a weird kind of way now.
How do you mean? I took the tour. I took one of the. So I've done shows there because a buddy of mine has a magic venue there.
Oh no! Are you talking about Aiden?
Yes.
Aiden's done the show before. Yeah, Aiden Sinclair. Great. Yeah.
Yes, so he books like guest entertainers, guest magicians during the summer. So I've done it 2 summers now.
Okay.
Like for like a couple weeks at a time. So I've taken the ghost tours.
Yes.
And they seem to really lean into it now. I mean, even like talking about like making this lollipop.
Yes.
Move around in the hand.
Yeah, we did the lollipop trick. Yeah.
So how was it different from before?
Before they used to really, they the tour was much better. Again, it depends on your tour guide. We had a terrible tour guide. I knew more about the ghost stories and the things than he did. And I've only been there like 2 times, but just from my podcast and what I learned my first time being there a long time ago, they were so welcoming. They like took me all around. We had the best paranormal tour, and now it was just felt very commercial. It felt like they had just these rehearsed lines that they had to tell you in each room. They And everything is broken up. Like if you want the film history, that's a different tour. If you want the spooky tour, that's a different tour. If you want the history tour, that's a different tour. Oh, and if you want to see the frozen dead guy, which should be on the haunted tour, that's a whole other tour. And so it's like sort of weird now. And there's a bunch of things. Like I feel like, yes, they are better about they were really good about it before, then they got really bad about it and didn't want anything to do with it. And now they're just about it. They're offering it for people that want it, but they're not offering it in a good way. I was very disappointed in it.
We should have seen one before.
I know. It was good. And it was real, like you got together and they had like paranormal investigators and you went into like the old carriage house and you sat down and you did like a whole thing. You learned about it and it was really good before. Speaking of paranormal investigating, do you ever do any paranormal investigating or have you?
I've never done it. It just hasn't fallen in my direction. And yeah, I've never sought it out. No one's ever asked me. So I've actually never done, and I've never gone with an actual paranormal investigator to paranormally investigate anything.
Yeah.
I should do it one day. But I wish the Stanley were doing those tours back when I was there last, so I
know.
Have had that experience.
Have you had any experiences at the Stanley since you spent time there?
No, again, nothing happens to me. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
If there's another dimension of ghosts around me, I am completely unaware.
Oh no.
Maybe
we can't bring you investigating with us. You're the cooler.
I'm the bad luck. I'm gonna scare them away.
Yeah.
But it'd be fun if something did happen. But it's been great to play Aiden's spot and then after the show, just like go have dinner upstairs, go walk up to the hotel and go into the bar and be like, I'm having whiskey and dinner in the famous Stanley Hotel. It's fun for me to still be able to do that, right?
Definitely. What about the Queen Mary? Have you done a show there?
No, because that would have been through Aiden and Aiden as well. And I don't think they were booking guest entertainers there yet. I don't know if they're still doing stuff with the Queen Mary. I remember taking the Queen Mary tour when I was like 10 or 11, and I'd be like, Mom, no, we're gonna die! Don't take me to the Queen Mary. You're gonna ghost. But yeah, I've not been on the Queen Mary since I was like 10 or 11.
I love that ship so much. And another notoriously haunted place. But I'm surprised that you must really have a way to block it all out, because theaters, as much time as you spent in theaters too, theaters are notoriously haunted.
Yeah. No, yeah. I got to do a touring Christmas show, very opposite of what I normally do.
Yeah.
I was like the ringmaster character magician of a fun family cirque style Christmas touring show. It toured the eastern half of the United States a couple years ago. They do it every year, and I got to be in it for 1 year. So every day you sleep on a bus, and then you wake up behind a new theater, and then you roll in. They set up, they tech, the circus acts rehearse. I do a mic check, I have dinner, and do another show. Then everything gets torn down, take a shower, hop on a bus, do the whole thing all over again, right? So I got to see many theaters across the country that I never would have gotten to see, right?
Yeah.
These are the theaters that like all the musicals tour through or that kind of thing, right? It's a small town with not a lot of people, but there's a 1,500 seat theater that's been there since the 30s, and it's gorgeous, and it always sells out because it's the one thing to do in town. And you're always talking to like the local staff here. There's that one guy who's been managing that theater for the past who knows how many years, right? And they always have a story. and it's always like there's like 5 ghosts on every balcony, right? And there's an old man with a hat there, and there's a child there, and there's a woman and it got to the point where, again, and I know what I sound like as a skeptic, but I got to the point where like we would walk into a theater and I'd be like, oh yeah, this place is haunted. This like the circus performers would be like, shut up, Christian. And I know this is totally haunted. And then you come to find out, oh yeah, the guy who managed it tells you like the 7 stories that are everywhere.
Well, what made you feel like it's haunted in a certain place? Something gave you a feeling.
I mean, I don't know.
Mm.
I don't have an answer for you.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just having been in haunted locations as my job many nights a week for now many years.
But see, it's that little feeling. It's that little feeling that you like have to just tap into a little bit more because something told you, oh, this place definitely has the paranormal stories. And you were right. So
Right.
like, it's that same feeling, but like just tapping into it to like feel it more and to like be more in tune with it. It's the same type of thing.
I love old buildings. I love historic buildings.
Yeah.
Because I love feeling the history,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I don't know if we leave behind our own essence, but I feel like we leave something behind, whether it's literally just molecules from our skin and our hair that kind of just stay, right? One of my favorite places, and I've only been twice, is Preservation Hall in New Orleans,
Uh-huh.
in the French Quarter, aka the Preservation Hall Jazz Band, right?
Yeah.
And the place is a postage stamp. The place is tiny.
Yeah.
And there's still soundproofing. There's like one side where the band is at, and all the other walls have soundproofing. But it's soundproofing that's been there for decades. And it is old and brown and stained, and half of it is gone. And, you know, maybe they say they have ghosts. Who knows? I didn't feel like that there was ghosts there, but I could just feel each stain was a story, right? Like the amount of music that has bounced off these walls,
That's for sure.
the legends that have played there, probably the legends that were in the room there to listen to them play, right? Like I could feel that when I see this deteriorating a soundproofing, and I absolutely loved it, right? I love. I used to go to antique stores more when I was making new shows more regularly, and I would. Sorry, I'm looking at my antiques. And I would kind of just always like look for something that just felt like it could have its own story, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want the pristine item. I want the one that's damaged, because that one crack in the face of the doll, why is that there? What happened to it? You know, it's like you know, when somebody like makes a dress for the doll, you could tell this was the handmade dress that somebody made, not the one that came from the maker, the manufacturer in 1906 in Germany or whatever, right? And it's like, so I want to know the story of who loved this doll so much that they made her own new dress, right? And so I love those aspects. I love those ideas of just things that you could tell have a story, and you will never know what that story is. But,
yeah.
And to me that's being haunted, right? I love that feeling of being haunted of things we will never know, but you could tell there's a reason for why that's there, right?
Yes.
So if I vibe anything, I feel like that's what I'm vibing when I walk into an old building.
Mm-hmm.
That if I have a natural instinct for it, it's that.
Right.
And now that it's my profession for many years, yeah, I feel like I may just, for lack of a better term, have done that enough where I just may now have, for lack of a better term, an intuition for when something may or may not have a haunted story attached to it.
Definitely. Do you collect those kind of objects like the broken doll and things?
Oh, I had to stop because it's too expensive. I don't have room. And again, everything was very much angled for something to be like inspiration for for one of my little solo shows, one of solo magic plays. But yeah, so I have a bunch of stuff that I've had to like. There came a point where I just had to like just stop. I don't have the money. I don't have the space.
Yeah.
I'm not making a new show right now, so I don't need to like buy more of other people's stuff. But yeah, I know there's more stuff.
See, I don't even like going into thrift shops. Like I just get a feeling just walking by them. Like I feel like, I don't know, like a lot of the energy or something. And there's a smell that goes with every shop. It's a
Right.
distinct smell. You can smell it from halfway down the block. Like, oh, there's a thrift store coming up.
Oh, I, the thrift stores a little less so because they do smell like other people's musty closets, right? Um, but the antique store, the junk
Yeah.
shop, oh yes, I absolutely love that same feeling. Like
Yeah.
a room full of creepy dolls does not creep me out. I
It doesn't creep me out either.
and like I don't because again I don't feel like I'm not feeling a haunted presence. I'm feeling being haunted by their history. Like I
Mhm.
can feel again each stain, each mark. Somebody loved that doll, and I can feel that, and I love feeling the vibe of all those dolls that feel creepy because they're creepy, but
Yeah.
also they're creepy because I feel that there's again a story behind each one of them that I'll never get to know. And
Yes.
yeah,
I get it. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your stories with us. Tell everybody listening how they can see your shows, follow you on social media, book a tour, all the good stuff.
yeah, you can find me more easily at sfghosthunt.com, San Francisco ghosthunt.com, or just look for Ghost Tour San Francisco. If you don't see my face on the website, it's the wrong tour because there's a lot of ghost tours now in San Francisco. And I run seasonally now, more like spring, summer, and October. But I'm doing some tours for November and December. You could also find me at christiancagigal.com, which I'm sure, I guess, you'll have my name up and people can, oh, it's right there. Yeah. Do you do video as well or just
Yes, both.
great. There's my name, just .com, that one. That's it. Um, and I'm on social media as the same name. And that's usually how I get website, email list, and social media is usually how I get the word out about things that I'm doing. So
Perfect. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Ghost Bunny podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on my spooky adventures, and I look forward to sharing a new ghost story with you each week. Please subscribe to my podcast so you're always the first to know when a new episode is out, and follow me on social media at Ghost Bunny Podcast on Instagram, at Ghost Bunny Podcast on YouTube, and at Bridget Marquardt on Instagram. Oh, and there's also Patreon. As much as I can post, I try. Thanks, guys. Mwah.
bye.